Hey, so I wanted to share with you this Ordeal by Check activity, which is definitely pretty extensive if we look at it. So this is an entire story that's interpretive, meaning you really truly get to come up with a story in your own head, and it's how you interpret what's going on. The story itself is told by looking at a series of checks over time. If you notice, they start August 30th of 1903 is the first set of checks, and it officially goes uh, all the way to the end of July 16th of 1931. And as the checks kind of travel through, they're made with two different people. There's Lawrence Exeter, um, who's Lawrence Exeter Sr. as of October 3rd of '03, or 1903, I should say. And then as we move over some time, we start to get to Lawrence Exeter Jr. Writes one of the first checks on February 18th, 1927, um, in his name. So obviously, those are two different people. Um, and so, what we need to do is we need to kind of interpret, well, what is the story itself? So, the first thing is that these checks are already organized in numbered order, meaning order of date. And so, what I want you to do is just slowly read through all of the checks on your own time. And you may have to put it on in present mode just to be able to do that. And then you'll be able to see it a little bit better because they'll be bigger and it is written in cursive. So, you got to take your time. Um, but what we need to do is try to come up with a story in our head of what is going on with these checks. Who are they sending these checks to? What are the amounts? Notice it's from the Hollywood State Bank in Santa Monica Boulevard. This is in California, in LA, and so it's interesting to see, what kind of lifestyle these people live. Just think about the amounts of money that they're able to send out. Do you see any things that maybe are parallels within the checks? Is there a day where there's a lot of checks that are all written or in a very short period of time? Um, or who gets really, really large sums of money? Who gets huge amounts of money? So it's interesting to figure those things out. Um, so I want you to try to come up with just some initial observations. And then after taking some time kind of figuring out what you're doing the first go around, uh, you need to start going through and see if there's maybe a different way of organizing the checks. For example, one of the ways to organize the checks is you could go and you could just make a copy of this sheet, or I'm sorry, this slideshow, and then you could start organizing with Lawrence Exeter Senior first, and then do all of his checks, and then do Lawrence Exeter Junior checks, and see how that changes over time. If there's any difference in the money that's going out, what that'll kind of mean is you'll split a little bit between 3 and 4 here, or I'm sorry, two and or 1 and 2, and then if you'll notice in four, the first four, and what you can do is you could just cut, and you could go to this one, you could paste it, and you'll get the checks to pop up in the right spot that you probably want them to be. But see if there's a different way of organizing. You can also organize based on how much money is being spent. Find an organizational framework that works for you. Just think of what are some of the different ways that we can organize these checks.